What's going on, y'all? I had some water there, my bad. I'm talking about the Democratic debates tonight. We're gonna do the double stream. That's been going pretty well. So that's the word on the day. Democratic debates, round two, day one of round two. It gets confusing because they have 10,000 candidates. So let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna launch up Facebook. We're gonna get some of your opinions, and then we're gonna launch it up. We'll do some shout outs too. Fix my hair. You know, I don't want to be ratchet. What's going on, guys? Hope you're having a good day. If you're anything like me, you watch the Democratic debates. I know it might have been painful. It's hard to, tune into CNN and support the network. But let me know what you guys thought. We'll do some shout outs and then we'll get into it. Who we got? We got King Salmonfish on YouTube. That's quite the name. We got Brittany D, MJGJ, Tommy Gunn, as always. Who we got on Facebook? What's going on, guys? Democratic debates, round two, day one, squad one, 10 of them now, 10 of them tomorrow. 30,000 candidates. Pick your favorite one. You got Marianne Williamson, you got Marianne Williamsburg, you got Jim Johnson, Jim Jack, Bernie Sanders, Bernie Smith, you got Tim Ryan, Bill Ryan, Jill Ryan. No, I'm just kidding. You get it. Majik Mittens. Who else we got? We got Jared Lane, Frank Schlementi. Did I do that right? Frankie Schlementi. I got you. Brandon Laird, Cleo Orloff, Finbar Divine. You guys are really testing me with your cool names. Tim Truth. Thank you, brother. That's an easy one. He's like, no, it's not Truth. It's Tim Truthet. I want to say real quick, too, before we start, we'll do some shout outs. But if you didn't notice, if you watched yesterday's live stream, you caught a gem. If you did it, I deleted it because I found out I was making fun of this MSNBC clip where they got a bunch of things wrong. I found out that was actually a doctored clip. Somebody made a whole video where they faked MSNBC. It's hard to tell because they're so ridiculous. So that's why I deleted yesterday's stream. I don't like to be wrong. I don't think it happens that often because I'm not very opinionative, and I usually have my facts and clip straight. But it wasn't really. I don't know. But it seemed like a parody when I saw the full form. So I figured just delete the whole stream. If you watched it, you caught some gems. If not, we do this almost every night, so it's all good. We got Kabungalo LaBungalo. That's quite the YouTube name. I love how I could just how YouTube, you don't have to have your real name. So people, we got some characters. We got Brandon Clark Arnold. What's going on? Joe Worley, the legend. Patty Hamlin, another legend. Who we got? Sonia. Once Facebook hits 1,000, we'll start it up. What are we on over here? YouTube's trying to sell me on the free. Gloria Silvana Castro Hunt. Shout out to me. Hello from Vegas. I got you. We got Frank and Haley. We got Taruto Nicola. I'm going rapid fire. We got Abraham Scott, Matt Vernon, Jet, Michael Bobick. He said MSNBC's a joke. Don't say that, you bigot. I'm just kidding. Jeff Dowling, your favorite Canadian brother. You could fight other people for that. Alan Meeks, Sarah Markland. I'm sorry, it scrolled up too fast. Elpidia Ortega Cooper. I got that one right? Matt Dillon. I'm good at pronouncing foreign names too. A lot of times people are like, how did you know my name? I'm like, I take the time. I got it. My brother Felix is in the house. What's up, Felix? Stacy Gomez, Brandon Curtis. We got Tyler Fannin, Justin Bell, Just Me. We got Bruce City Bear. Very rare. We got Diginati. Oh man, that was tough. It scrolled too fast. Christy Olsen, we're at 965. We need 1,000 and we're starting. We got Janine Miller. We're almost there. Darby Shelton. Terry Owen said, how's your foot? My foot's excellent. I got really good news. So it's all good. I'm walking slowly again. And I went to a new podiatrist who told me a totally different thing. So it's all good. All right, we're 5 more away and we're going to start. Let's see. 1,000. Bang. All right, guys, I got to go. No, I'm just kidding. All right. If you guys didn't watch the Democratic debate, I'll try to fill you in. If you did watch it, one of the main things I want to talk about, of course, I could just say it's ridiculous, but I try to get to try to have some value and truth there. And we could have fun too and make jokes because laughing is always valuable. But they talked about healthcare for a while, and 2 people, I always try to start on compliments. 2 people that really impressed me. I'm not saying they're impressive like all the way around, but it was something Ryan. Tim Ryan maybe. And what was that guy's name? What's the guy's name who kind of looks like Kermit the Frog? It looks like he just kind of stumbled on the shoot. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Now I feel bad, but he looks like he was looking for PBS he showed up to the CNN debate and he was like, "Is this PBS? I'm here for Sesame Street." And they're like, "No, dude, this is CNN, dog. This is Democratic debates. You're on the wrong network." He's like, "Yikes!" You know who I'm talking about? No, not Tim Ryan. Hold on. I'm not going to move forward until somebody tells me who that guy. Delaney. Thank you. Delaney. Doesn't he kind of look like he stumbled in from Sesame Street? And he was like, "Guys, I'm here on PBS. I'm sorry I'm late." They're like, "Dude, Sesame Street was an hour ago on PBS, buddy. You're on CNN. Don't you see Don Lemon?" And he probably thought Don Lemon. Never mind. I was going to say something. Anyway, yeah, Delaney. He said, I quoted on Twitter, but he said something along the lines of, "It seems kind of like you guys aren't just talking about healthcare. It seems like you guys are attacking the public sector." Did you guys catch that part? He looked, you could see the fear in his little Muppet eyes. He was like, luckily he's a white male, or else I couldn't make fun of him. If he was a woman or a person of color, as Marianne Williams would say, they'd be like, "Oh my God, you're racist, sexist, xenophobic." I'm like, no, he just looks like a puppet from Sesame Street. It's not my fault. But you saw the fear in his eyes. And he said, he's like, "It seems like you guys don't really care about healthcare. You just are attacking the private sector." It's just slow clap. Welcome, John Delaney, to the new Democratic Party. Socialism, communism, that's what the ideology is. It is an attack on the private sector, trying to spread it around via big government. Give it all to the government, and maybe they'll distribute it equally, and we'll all live in peace. It sounds good, but historically, most people know by now that giving everything to the hands of the federal government, not the idea. Taxes, tax. They have this, they have that. They always want more power, more control. That's kind of where we're at. So thank you, Sock Puppet Delaney, for figuring that out, that yes, it is an attack on the private sector. But all jokes aside, the big debate was the few moderates that were on the stage said, "Hey, listen, of course I want to give healthcare for all. Of course I want to do that. I'm not a bad person." But most working people who have private insurance don't want to give up their private insurance because, like I've said, even if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, if you agree with Canadian healthcare, of course, there's always pros and cons. I'm not going to sit here and say it's all negative. Of course, if you get very, very badly injured, like every single year, then yeah, it's going to be very helpful to have sometimes, to have universal healthcare where the government pays for it. The cons would be longer wait times, worse quality. But I'm not going to say that there's never a time when that's, I know people from Canada, most don't like it. Some people are like, "I got really badly hurt, thank goodness." Anyway, the word universal healthcare is a very nice word. It sounds good. Free healthcare for all. But here's the truth about what it really means. I say this quite often because this was a big debate, was the healthcare debate. The meaner and more honest way to say universal healthcare is entire government control of the health industry. Right now, the health industry is corrupt. Obviously, the pharmacy industry is corrupt. I know it. You know it. We all know it. But it's not completely in the hands of government. Like the private sector is obviously corrupt. We all know that. But you'd be taking all this competition. So you could say, "I don't want to go to Kaiser Permanente. I don't want to go Blue Cross Blue Shield. I don't want healthcare at all." That's the beautiful thing that they never talk about. And they make it impossible to find. If you look on Google, the first 50 search engines are rigged to make Trump seem like a Nazi for getting rid of health insurance. But under Trump, there is something called freedom. And under Obama and under Bernie's universal healthcare, it's called an individual mandate. And this is very important because it's almost impossible to educate yourself on because they make it hard to find. Under Obamacare and under Bernie care, individual mandate means you have to pay. So under Obamacare, if you don't buy into some sort of health insurance, whether it be a private one that you probably can't keep now or the main Obamacare one, you have to pay a fine, $600, $1,000, who knows? So it's buy this or you have to pay. There's no good deal on the planet. I'm sorry. They don't say you have to buy this. It's this deal's so good, you're going to want to buy it. It's not you have to buy it or we're going to steal it from you. That's called theft. That's not, and that's what Obamacare did. That's what Trump actually flipped that around. So if you're honest, you could say, "Hey, I don't like that he got rid of people's health care, but now I'm free. I don't pay health care this year. Even though I hurt my foot, crazily enough, I'm still paying less than I would. If I had health insurance, I owe $3,000 in hospital bills, just to give you guys an element of it. If it was Obamacare and I had to pay insurance, I'd have to pay $2,500 a year for health insurance at my age, and then I'd have to pay full price because the bottoms are so high. Maybe Bernie Sanders would have possibly saved me a little money this year, but over the course of 20 years, that's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in taxes that I would have had to pay. The point I'm getting at is there's freedom right now. And what Bernie Sanders is talking about doing, besides the individual mandate, he's eliminating all private insurance. A lot of people who work, especially if you work, for the government, but a lot of jobs have private insurance. That's really good. A lot of working class people, I know quite a few because my parents are some. The big like pro to having a job that's working class a lot of times, or a job that you have a 9-to-5 or a secure job, I would say, because a lot of 9-to-5 jobs aren't secure, is you have benefits when you retire, and you also have health insurance, and good health insurance, not cheap health insurance. It pays for your medical bills. You have a low deductible. If Bernie Sanders would take that away from people, and that's what a lot of the people today were saying, which was awesome. They were saying, listen, I know a lot of working people, they don't want to give up their private insurance. Like under Obamacare, he said, you can keep your doctor if you want to. It was not true. It just wasn't. It was a lie. So that's kind of the balance that, without being too mean, I want people to think about. If you don't like the government, which most progressives don't, do you want to give the whole health industry into the hands of the federal government? You think it's bad and doesn't work well now. What do you think happens if you take out all the competition? You kick working class people off of their own private insurance. That's one of the main benefits of their job. And then you make them pay extra taxes every year for a health care that every single person has, including illegal immigrants now. They want to give it to illegals. So it's not just citizens who pay into it. It's 20 million people who are here, overstaying their visas or illegally breaking into the country. It's pretty ridiculous. And honestly, regardless of what you think about it or what I think about it, if you want to win an election, you do have to understand what America thinks about it. And it's not popular. These are two things that are very, very unpopular that, CNN tried to say. I'll give them credit for that. Illegal immigration is not popular. Obama didn't run on. No Democrat has ever run on it. And I'm not saying that the past is great or anything, but Obama, as social justice as he pretended like he was, he said, if you come here illegally, you're getting sent back. If you send your kids here, they're getting sent back. We're detaining them. He built the kids in cages. That's a fact. People don't know that because they don't talk about it on TV. It's Snopes says it. You can Google search, did Obama? Yes, it's true. Everyone knows. That's all Obama policy because that's normal. You can't, no country, Switzerland, Sweden, like you don't want millions of undocumented people. You need a visa, you need a passport, and then you need to go home. You can't live there unless you're a citizen. This is common basic sense stuff. It's not a popular opinion. Most working class Democrats don't, I know Democrats myself that don't like Trump, but now I had just to be honest, not going to say who, I had a Puerto Rican buddy who's liberal leaning, reached out to me in my inbox yesterday. He says, Anomaly, I'm voting for Trump next time, and you're the only person I can tell. He said, I'm going to vote for Trump. And this is somebody who doesn't like Trump. He's posted about how he doesn't like Trump, and he likes more like left-leaning people. I said, what was the final straw for you now that you're voting for Trump, even though you're a liberal? He said, I'm tired of watching CNN. They keep saying everything he says is racist, and I'm trying to talk about information. So it's intellectually, I know a lot of these media elites think that they're intellectually so philosophical that we can't understand. We all have no teeth. And we're like, what? How do you understand what they're talking about? We don't understand. That's not what, it doesn't matter if you have teeth or not. You're from the middle of America or not. They think that they're like elite above us and we can't understand what they're talking about. You get what I'm saying? I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's like they think everybody's just like, all I know is chopping wood. I don't know what they're talking about. They're so dumb it down for me, please. But anyway, he's a smart guy, and he's like, I can't watch these news networks anymore. And they treat me like I'm an idiot. It's intellectual. Like watching this debate, it reminds me of the Adam Sandler movie where he does that big speech in Billy Madison, if you've seen it, and everyone claps. And at the end, the guy's like, we're all dumber for having listened to you. He's like, everybody in this room is now dumber. God have mercy on your soul. You get 0 points. It's hilarious. But, I felt it's like intellectually offensive how they talk to us. And a lot of these people on the stage are like that. So they're losing people through the immigration debate. Everything that they say is something that was never a Democratic policy. So this is the first election where the Democratic candidate is running on basically open borders, free health. It's not just open borders. Obama was closed borders, deported more people than Trump did. He didn't want to give health insurance to illegal immigrants. Now, not only do they want to open the borders, they think every illegal immigrant should have citizenship or be able to live here undocumented with no paperwork, but also then they want to give free health care in a country where American citizens don't have free health. You could call it racist, sexist, xenophobic, anomaly, white nationalist, Puerto Rican nationalist, Polish nationalist, not a nationalist. You can call me whatever you want when it's not true. Nobody, I mean, you're in a very small echo chamber. Working people, a lot of moderate Democrats, this was never a thing. And you went on illegal immigration, it's not popular. And neither is taking private insurance away. I've gotten hundreds upon probably thousands at this point, messages from people who voted for Obama once, who voted for Obama twice. I know I have family members who voted for Obama, who, guess what, are working people who have a job, who've worked a job loyally for decades and have private insurance. And guess why they didn't like Obama? It had nothing to do with the color of his skin, had nothing to do with his Middle East policy. To be honest, they don't even know, they don't care about that. They care about what affects them in their life, a lot of people. And he said that they could keep their insurance, and their premiums went up and up and up and up and up every year, and their deductible went up and up. So their insurance turned from good insurance that doesn't cost that much to insurance that's 3 times or 2 times as expensive that they legitimately can't even use. It's nuts. So a lot of people, millions of people said, you know what, I voted for Obama, but he lied about Obamacare. It sucks. And now I'm going to vote for Trump for healthcare. Some people said, you know what, I'm voting for Trump because he's different in the Middle East. He's talking about leaving, like getting our troops out of there. Some people voted for Trump because he just doesn't give a you know what, and just said, screw it, I'm going to talk like I'm talking to you at a dinner table. And all the, I am Pete Buttigieg. And it's like, oh, wow, you're so authentic, Pete Buttigieg. You just seem so much better than ever. Like, and then Marianne Williamson, she's like, oh, and then she's like, oh, it's a, and you're like, I mean, maybe you think that's like appealing. I understand when you're in a field of like people that are, you know, very, very not talented at what they do, you might be a standout because you say 1 or 2 like important things, and you know, you get your back pecked up and you're like, yes. But then like you realize like you're in a room with all people who agree with you, and you're talking to 340 million people, and most people who would have voted for Obama or you know, Al Gore in 2000, they don't like you. They think you're a joke. Like you're the laughing, you know, Trump's the laughing stock of the world in some ways, thanks to mainstream media with people who don't know what's going on. You're the laughing stock of a lot of people who, anomaly, I'm not voting for them. But they don't want to tell you. I'm reading you know, Twitter messages from a tennis player who's lesbian, I think, and said, hey, I don't think men should play women's tennis. I don't think transgenders who were born masculine, who have stronger genetics, should play against women. Now she's blacklisted. She can't speak. I have friends in the music industry, the film industry, the tech industry, in Hollywood who work with big stars. A lot of them are voted for Trump now, and they're messaging me, and it's because of things like this: healthcare, immigration, basic, like, you know, intellectually talking to people like we're 5 years old. No one on that stage has the guts to say, you know what, this is why Trump won. Like, I'm telling you, you don't have to like Trump. Yeah, I'm sure there's a fringe group of people who voted for him because they hate every other race and they voted for him. To be honest, most of those people who did that are now mad at him. I know them, and I you know, I analyze everything, so I try to take in everything so I could talk about it properly. The people who were actually racist, who don't like other races, hate Trump now because they realized they thought he was racist. They bought into the media narrative and certain talking points, and they're pissed at him now because he's legitimately not racist. And he, like Marianne Williamson, I was watching on CNN. She's talking about he's anti-Semitic and he's hiding his anti-Semitism and pro-Israel. Trump is the most non-anti-Semitic person. He's the most pro-Jewish, pro-Israeli person I've ever seen in my life in the White House. And she still has the nerve to call him anti-Semitic. It's like, you don't have to agree with him. This is what I was saying before I deleted my stream. But if you lie about all the reasons, lots of people want to keep their private insurance. And the ones who said that, Sock Puppet, Sesame Street Delaney, and Tim Paul Ryan, John Ryan, Tim Paul, you know, Billy Bob Ryan said the same thing, and they're getting laughed off the stage, and everyone's like, well, Bernie. And another, so that was a big talking point, the healthcare. Another funny thing I want to talk about that I saw was they started talking about climate change, and I want to say a few things about climate change because I actually am an environmentalist. I do think we use too much plastic. Actually, I'm not big on the plastic anything. I think that we need to clean up the oceans. I do think that we should be cautious of what we're doing. You know, dirty water, dirty air. Like, this is all very real stuff. Pollution is very real. I am an environmentalist. I used to think climate change is real. To be honest, now I think it's real, but I understand the earth a lot more. I'm going to tell you some science that I figured out the last couple of years, which makes me an environmentalist who laughs at Democrats like this. And I agree with a lot of what they're saying. But, okay, first of all, the earth, you know, the planet that we live on, is 70-something% ocean, maybe 72% ocean. That's a fact. 71, 72%. I don't know exactly. In the 70s, in high 60s, lower 70s, is ocean. 95%, 90%. I don't know the exact percent. Between 99 and 85%. They changed. The science is so settled, but every time I look, they change the science. Isn't that funny? It's because science doesn't settle when you don't know what the F you're talking about. So most of the ocean is unexplored and unmapped. This is admitted by government organizations. Most of the Earth is ocean. So then if you do the math, you realize most of Earth is actually unexplored. Pretty interesting. How could the science settle on a planet that you haven't explored over half of? The truth is, it's not settled. I read articles every other week saying, we found human bones in Europe. We found human bones in Morocco. We thought we knew everything about the human race, but we realized we were 200,000, years off. And then you read stuff like I do. I actually read NASA and I read government articles because I'm like, how much do they really know about the ice melting? Because I don't want the ice to melt. I don't want the oceans to be polluted. And I read NASA articles and I read it out word for everybody. And I say, NASA admits when it comes to Antarctica, they don't measure most of the continent. Most of the continents in the center, they can't measure the snowfall. It's impossible with their satellites to measure the snowfall. They admit this. This is not my opinion. This is NASA's opinion. They only measure the coasts. They only measure the coastline of Antarctica. And here's the thing. Half of it, roughly half or less of it, is melting, and the other half of it is freezing bigger. And some years it's actually more growth than it is shrinking. And here's a funny thing about how water and ice works. This is settled science from my understanding. When you have ice in water that's warmer, usually it melts and it'll shift, of course, on the planet. But also the outside is more likely to melt. The inside's going to be colder because it's where all the ice is. The outside is closer to the water, which is warmer than it, so it's going to melt. So it's not surprising that it's actually, in my personal perspective, quite surprising that it's growing in many regions on the coast. I would think a lot of the coast would melt and it would grow in the center, but it's actually growing on the coastlines. It's melting on some of the coastlines. They found active volcanoes under a lot of these glaciers. Greenland is not melting quite as quick as they were. Do you know why, guys? Do you know why? And I'm not saying that you can't have a conversation about climate change. You can. You could talk about CO2. You could talk about pollution, water pollution, Flint, Michigan. Please talk about all of it. But understand the science is nowhere near settled on a planet that we haven't discovered most of. Most of the planet's unexplored. Most of Antarctica is unexplored. They don't know what's going on in Greenland. The scientists are shocked. Their doomsday apocalyptic calls since the 1970s have been wrong every single time. Whether it be a right-wing Christian saying the apocalypse is coming for Jesus Christ, or whether it's a left-wing scientist who says it's going to, UN official who says it's going to end in 2000. They've all been wrong because regardless of what they say, the science is not settled. You can't have science settled on a planet that you don't even explore. And coming from NASA, who now measures climate change, they haven't been back to the moon in 50 years because according to their oldest leading scientist, he says they destroyed the technology and it's a painful process to build back again. And I'll do a whole stream about that because I'm learning about the International Space Station. And I'll give you a hint, guys. A lot of the math as far as how fast these rockets go up there, they don't add up. So much so, it's legitimately comical. And I'm not reading fringe websites. I'm reading Business Insider and NASA themselves. It's ridiculous how much the math doesn't add up. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Point being, the science isn't settled. So I'm laughing at these people who are legitimately too either unintellectual or fake to even understand that the science isn't settled, that most of the Earth isn't unexplored, that there's volcanoes, that there's phenomenons that we don't understand. I did a Twitter post the other day. You had Vox, VOX. They had a website that said, they were talking about spraying a bunch of minerals, or I don't know exactly what they were, in the air to stop climate change. They're admitting we want to spray the air because we think it could stop climate change and change the climate. And then in the article, VOX said that it's not been done yet. They said climate manipulation has not been done. And then there's a Business Insider, and it's all over the place. It's been done not millions of times, but China admits to doing it in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Search weather modification, Beijing Olympics. It's in mainstream publications that China's already manipulating weather. I mean, cloud seeding and these types of strategies go back to 1960s and 1970s. When you look at legislation, they've openly admitted it in certain meetings and stuff recently. It's pretty much a fact that it's being done. And Vox says it's not being done yet. So they're not spraying the skies, but they want to spray the skies, but they've never sprayed the skies, even though they've admitted they've sprayed the skies. This is the type of science that the progressive left now wants to say is settled, when they're lying about things that are literally so obvious it's ridiculous. And then they say, you know, humans are controlling the weather, but we can't actually control the weather. That's a conspiracy theory that we can see the we control the weather, but we can't control the weather. But we have controlled the weather, but we've never controlled the weather. It's like these people are ridiculous. That being said, when it comes to climate change, of course, the climate is going to change. It might get hotter. It might get colder. We could have an ice age. We could have a volcano that takes over the entire planet. We can have an earthquake. We can have a tsunami. We can have a storm. These are all things that, as far as I know, we don't control, but I'm open to any sort of hypothesis that makes sense. Point being, now that we've had this conversation, this is a conversation that they'll never have on the Democratic debate, but they act like they're so, the arrogance, and trust me, I don't like the arrogance and the ignorance on the right wing either. It's always deterred me from understanding the right wing because I've always thought they were very stubborn, you know, conservatives, very stubborn, very closed-minded. That's why I always connected with liberals more. And in some ways it's still true. You know, it's something that the right has to work on. Not all, but some. Point being, the arrogance and the sheer ignorance of the left wing is nutty because they're not coming from a place of like, I don't care about it. It's like, I think I know everything and everybody else who doesn't agree with me must be really, 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 really stupid. And it's just very strange to watch because they don't understand 1/20th of what I said. And they'll never have me on a debate stage. I've asked progressives that talk about climate change all the time behind closed doors, and they admit to me, they say, listen, all the academic papers are all screwed up and rigged now, so maybe the scientific papers are too. But, you know, they'll never say that on the stage. You know, Mr. Progressive, like, I'm so, you get it. Point being, they're talking about climate change. They have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand science. The only science they understand is saying, the science is settled, which is the most anti-science thing you could say. Tell Orville Wright that the science was settled on planes. Tell any inventor. Tell Nikola Tesla that the science was settled. Tell the guy who found the bones that the science is settled. Tell the kid who invented the thing that the science doesn't settle. I mean, there are certain things you understand, certain things you don't. Earth is far from settled. So that point, I think I got across. Secondly, even if it was happening, or if there was a way that we could possibly change it, I'm open to understanding that. But you gotta talk about this stuff, or else you're clearly just a liar. So if it is happening and the climate is shifting and it's directly because of man-made and we control the weather, we control the planet, we control our destiny completely, and there's no God, there's no volcanoes, there's no natural phenomena that we can't control, which isn't true, but we'll just pretend. Even if that was true, there was a funny little like proxy debate going on between, once again, the radicals and the moderates. And the radicals like Bernie Sanders, all the guy has is talking points. He has no real plan in many ways. He just says, we need quick, and he gets so angry. It's very, very strange because like he's getting angry and just screaming, but he's not listening to what the other people are saying. I don't remember the one guy, but he was explaining he had an actual plan to stop climate change by 2050 if it was happening. It actually sounded pretty smart. He's like, if it's happening, here's what we're gonna do. He had a legitimate plan. He's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to ease in on it. We can't do it right away. We got to be realistic about it. We got to make sure it works in the economy. And Bernie Sanders, no, we need a radical change. He's like, Bernie, I'm agreeing with you. We need radical change, but I have a plan for that. But Bernie, we don't need a plan. We need a radical change. We need to just scream about it and wave our finger and have our eyes go back and forth. And then, 15 to 21-year-olds will agree with us. It's like the guy has a plan. But even in that guy's plan, the funny is, it's like Bernie has no plan. He just screams about how radical it is. One guy has a plan for a problem that doesn't really exist, or even if it does exist, and even if it does, and I'll level with you, we don't have the most output out of everything. I'm all for changing the climate, but you got to talk about China, you got to talk about India. It's like they talk about plastic pollution. Donald Trump had the best answer for it, and this is coming from somebody. I don't even like plastic straws. I think paper straws are very dumb, but I'm more of a person. They have plant-based straws. They're hard. A metal straw, too dangerous. Paper straw, the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Plant-based straw is actually good. It's hard enough. It feels like plastic, so people won't get mad. I don't like, but Trump said, I'm selling plastic straws. You guys, there's a plastic cup. There's a plastic bowl. There's a plastic plate. There's a plastic bag. And then you're telling me about the straw? He's like, I think you got more plastic to figure out. It's the same with the whole debate. It's like, if you want to attack plastic, you got to do it the whole way. You got to look at India and China. Most of the world's pollution comes from like Africa, India, and China. Like 7 out of 10 of the, I don't know the exact stats, but it's like a few rivers control like 80, 90% of the world's trash. So it's like, if you're going to change the climate and save the environment, you gotta understand how it works. Who's polluting the most? I'll give you a hint. It's not us. Who's going down the most in pollution? I'll give you a hint. It's us. Even now, we're on a trajectory down the fastest. You can maybe say China, depending what stats you look at, but they're polluting so much. It's like, if you're polluting, this much and you go down to this much, congratulations, you're still the biggest polluter. It doesn't. Nothing they say actually makes sense. It's hilarious and creepy at the same time. So I want to see what you guys thought about the debate. We'll talk about a few other things, but I want to see what you thought. My takeaways are a few things. They've convinced themselves of this narrative of Trump is a racist, sexist, xenophobe. There's nothing he's doing right. He's a fascist. And I do want to say this, and then we'll get to your questions and comments, is that fascism or authoritarianism or communism or socialism or big government control where it's out of control, I'll give you something that Trump did. When it comes to healthcare, he let people pick all the healthcare they want, and then he let them opt out. That's called freedom. If you want that healthcare, you could pay for it. If you get it through your work, you get it through your work. If you don't want healthcare, like I don't want healthcare, you don't have to buy it. I would have paid full price for all the thousands I've spent this month. I would have had to pay full anyway. What's the point of having insurance that doesn't work? I don't care that I don't have it. Even though I hurt my foot, I would have saved nothing because it doesn't make sense. Anyway, point I'm getting to is Trump gave you freedom. What Bernie Sanders wants to do is take the entire health industry, put it into the hands of federal government, charge you for it, and make it impossible for you to opt out and impossible for you to work with a private insurance, make it impossible for you to compete with the government. That is, by definition, much more authoritarian, fascist, or whatever word you want to throw on it, communist, than anything Trump's ever done. Everything Trump does gives people the option. He employs women, he employs black people, he employs Hispanics, he employs more gay people than anybody ever. He does it. He's thrown you every identity politics bone you could possibly wish for, but it's never going to be enough for these people because they're not based in reality. So the irony of Marianne Williamson and all these people saying Trump's a fascist authoritarian, your policies that you're talking about are literally big government policies that take entire industries, make it impossible for you as an employer or a business owner to compete, and then charge you for it and make it impossible to opt out. That's the definition of theft. That's the definition of big government. So the mental gymnastics and the delusion that they've caught themselves in, the fact that they're not even talking to moderate working people left and right are telling me now how much they can't stand. People who don't like Trump, people who don't agree with Trump, people who have never been Republican, people who are liberal to the core are reaching out to me saying, people are calling me racist. Everything's racist. Like they're blaming me even though I've done nothing. You're making people vote for Trump. I mean, taking away their insurance, threatening their private insurance after millions of people went through Obamacare after voting for him, talking about opening the borders, giving them free healthcare, giving them this. Like, I mean, it's a very small community, and I don't feel bad for these people because they chose the path of lies. They chose the path of anti-Trumpism, and now they're in a rock and a hard place. If I'm moderate, now everybody hates me because I've brainwashed these kids to be, basically extremely confused. And then if I tell them the truth, now they get mad. If I tell them the lie, they'll believe it. The more extreme, the better. Moderates are toast. All the moderate people have gone to the right wing, as far at least for voting purposes. They've gone to Trump. I mean, and most it's gonna be either socialist or they have to do a whole 180. They've screwed themselves, and it's very interesting watching it all go down. So let's see what you guys thought. Thank you, Heather Cliff. I appreciate it. GN said, my inhaler costs $75 to save the ozone layer, costs $6 billion a year for asthmatics. I don't know exactly what you're saying. Sorry about that. I don't get it. People, let's see what you guys are chatting about. What's the purpose of government in the first place? I don't know. I think our founding fathers, it was like a certain set of rules and regulations. It's good to have certain rules and certain, like a framework of how a society and a person should function. That's religion and, government for the most part. But it's gotten too big. And honestly, right wing is almost 99 times out of 100 or 9 times out of 10. The more right you go, it's towards anarchy. It's more libertarian. The more left you go, it's big government. That's why they call people fascist, and then they want to put healthcare into the hands of the government, make it impossible for you to compete, and make it impossible for you to opt out. That is big government. That is left wing. I mean, people could argue and say like, well, there's certain things Trump for sure, but 9 times out of 10, that's their whole plan. And I don't think any sane person, even progressives, would say, do you think the government's too big or too small? Most progressives would say the government's too big. It's too powerful. They're taking too much money. Then why in the world would you want to make it bigger? But these people don't understand because they've been trained and conditioned to think words matter more than actions. Pandering matters more than, the tough truth. And, it's this like intersectionality, like multicultural. And I'm not an anti. I think I'm not an anti-multicultural person. I think it's fine. I love that there's multiculturals here, but multiculturals under something that makes sense, not multicultural free for all. Nobody needs this. Everybody has to pay high taxes. The government gets to control everything. That's not diversity. That's insanity. That's fascism. I mean, that's the word that's so ridiculously abused. The government's too big already. Everyone knows it. Why would you want to make it bigger? It's so easy. But they're like, Elizabeth Warren, that's a Republican talking point. Who cares if it's a Republican talking point? Who cares if it's a liberal talking point? That's how they say, oh, that's Fox News. I don't watch Fox News. I don't own a television. Fox News has never had me on. Half of it's liberal now anyway. I mean, all of them are okay to me besides Tucker. I think Tucker is impressive. Point being, nothing I say is Fox News, but even if it was something that overlaps with Fox News, what am I saying? Why is it wrong? Saying you're racist, you're sexist, you're xenophobic, that's Fox News. I don't say when someone says, hey, this is why I think that's liberal. That's a liberal talking point. That's just liberal. I don't say that. I say, this is why I don't agree with that. This is the science. These are the statistics. This is what Obama did. This is how it affects me. This is what I have to pay. This is why I don't want that insurance. This is how it would really plan out. I don't necessarily, this is a talking point. That's all they know. And they've gotten rewarded. They're like the kid who should have probably been disciplined, who never got disciplined in a society that has been way too generous to them. So they appreciate nothing. They've been told they're, special snowflakes for their whole life, and that they're so great. And every time they lie, they get pat on the back and get more money and get more press and more attention. So you've built, millions of people led by celebrities and politicians who have been rewarded for being pretty much terrible. I mean, you get it. Let's see what we're talking about. We got, thank you, 25. Someone said the purpose of government is to moderate the disputes between the different classes of people. It'll work its way out, honestly. I mean, I think they're pretty, like me, I have this is the difference between me and a lot of other people. And I'll say this too, I'm going to do a whole marketing course soon, not to sell you on it now, but I want to explain stuff and provide value this way. I don't have to rely on Facebook and YouTube because they always take my money. But the point is, in marketing, here's a mistake that somebody makes. I'll give you a gem. I was looking at an ad and I watched it and I knew who the company was. But if you watched the advertisement, if you didn't know who the company was, it was a bad ad because they never explained it to you. So why I'm successful a lot of times on the internet is I think, what do other people think? Of course I know what I think, but I'm not talking to myself. You get what I'm saying? If I'm making a video for the whole world or America to unite and bring people together and educate them, I'm not talking in a mirror to myself. But most people are so, self-absorbed that they think they're talking to themselves all the time. So that the point I'm getting to is if you want to win an election, you have to understand everyone you're talking to. Trump, I think he has his pros and cons, but overall, he's dialed in on what he's doing. He's an action over words guy, and he's got a lot of people supporting him. The Democrats, they only talk to themselves. So in the room they're in, it sounds good, but when you add in the Democratic Party, how much of the Democratic Party doesn't like Trump? Like maybe now, like most of it. A good percentage of it. How much of the Democratic Party wants open borders? I would say not a big percent. How many want to give illegal immigrants health care? Probably a very small percent. How many want to lose their private insurance? Probably a very small percent. So that's what happens, whether it be marketing, or politics, which is basically you're marketing yourself to people. That's why they're so fake. Trump's marketing is more authentic, but most people, it's like, haha, I'm so much great and I'm so realistic. But the reason I'm telling you is because you could take this and apply it to other things in your life. If you're doing any sort of advertisement, or you're trying to, get people to listen, you're not having a conversation with yourself. You're trying to reach out to other people. And Beto does it a little bit, Pete Buttigieg does it a little bit, but most of them are so like self-absorbed that they don't. how do you, at this point, how do you not understand? I don't understand. Like I get progressives, I get liberals, I get communists, I get socialists, I get them all. I get everybody. I don't agree with some stuff, but I understand where they're coming from. How could you live in the United States of America, where Donald Trump won most of the map, where he's gotten more popular, he's higher in the polls than ever, 9 out of 10 Democrats say that they're probably going to lose, and you still don't know why people like him? You still don't understand how to talk to Trump supporters? You still don't understand how to talk to moderate Democrats or libertarians or centrists, and like you don't know how to. It's nutty how self-absorbed and arrogant these people are. It's pretty crazy, because it's not that hard to even, like, I don't know, just like make a more convincing argument. See what we're talking about. But that's a gem. When you're doing stuff and you're putting out there advertisement in some form, you have to see through the eyes of the consumer. If you run an ad that says, hey, like, I'll give you an example. My buddy's company, I got an ad for them, and I text him. I go, I saw an ad. He said, oh, that's awesome. That's my friend. I said, it's a terrible ad. He said, why is it a terrible ad? I said, because they didn't explain what their company did. Their company was a drone, filming company, but they didn't mention it because they were probably making the ad for themselves. Like, oh, this looks so cool. Like, let's put it out. This looks great. The ad's not for you. The ad is for somebody who doesn't know what your company. You can't run a commercial and not explain what your company does. That's a dumb ad. You're wasting money to show somebody something that they don't know what it is. It's like, here's the box, buy it. What's in the box? The box. It's my box. It's the box I made. Everyone loves it. It's great. Well, it's my company. It's the name. What does it do? That's, and that type of psychology, I feel like they don't understand. They're like talking to themselves. And that's why a lot of my videos have gone viral, because people on the right can show people on the left and say, look at this. I edit. You guys seen the video? If not, scroll down. It's the World Cloud video I helped edit for my brother Kingface. I edited it with a clip of Obama there, because he's arguing with this guy, and the guy says, Obama didn't do what Trump did at the border. Obama didn't do kids in cages. Obama didn't deport people. So then I added a clip of Obama himself saying, I did that. You got to go home. You got to speak English. Like, he's going even harder than Trump went. So at a certain point, now you lose, because there's video footage of Obama saying that. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm not making the video for me, and I'm not even making it for Trump supporters. I'm making it for everyone, so you could show it to your friend, and instead of getting in an hour-long argument, which might happen anyway, of like, no, you have no proof. Look, here's the proof. Obama, I speak English. Go home. I'm sending you home. We need strong borders. It's out of his own mouth. It's like, at that point, you might as well just lie. Like, it's got to be a sad life if you lie to yourself that much. Like, I saw it, but I don't want to see it no more. It's like, okay. Someone said, I like Kingface, but he yells too much. Different strokes for different folks. Kingface a wild boy. Sometimes he gets out there. Sometimes he yells. Sometimes he doesn't. I thought that video was pretty good. I've seen a few other ones, but that one he was a little more reserved, and it served its purpose. He's out there mixing it up. I'm gonna have him on my podcast soon. I want to ask him questions. He seems like an interesting guy, but he's entered the culture war, and that's something I want to let you guys know. I was talking to my friend the other day who filmed a video. Doesn't have a big following, but I shared it. Got quite a few views. You can enter the culture war. That's what they want to take away from us. Independent. I'm not particularly a journalist, but citizen journalism, citizen media. Like, I've built this for myself, and with what I've built, I was able to help, Candace Owens get to a certain point, and Brandon Straka get to a certain point. And a lot of people, not because I want, but it's great. Now I have what CNN has, unless they take it away. I have a platform, so I don't just use it for myself. I'm like, if I see something good, get out there. So you could go from, you don't even need a following nowadays. If you make something great and you send it to me or one of like 50 people, there's a lot of people on Instagram, there's a lot of people on Twitter who are constantly looking for content to share, and great stuff. I always say, like, a lot of people ask me, I want to get into this, I want to get into that. You gotta be ready for it. But either way, the first step is, I think, make something great. If you do something great, then you got to figure out how to get it in front of the right people, for sure. But if you don't make something great and you're just sharing a bunch of stuff that no one wants to see, that's that. But it's a beautiful time. There's a lot of opportunity on all levels. Thank you for the super chat. Who was that? Thank you, Heather Cliff. You're a legend, obviously. Let's see. Someone said bring back the gladiator arena. That's pretty funny that you said that, because I had an interesting theory. I don't know how moral it is. I mean, I think it's moral, but I don't know. Some people might think it's cold. But I said, what if we brought back the gladiator arena, not to force people in it, but if people agreed, if two people wanted to duke it out, you know, who's to stand in the way? They used to do that back in like the 1800s and stuff too. They used to duel. It was only like if you agreed, if both people want to duel, then you duel. I'm not opposed to that because it's mutual. You know, it would probably be a way to you know, solve certain problems in an aggressive way. But it doesn't involve me. It's like if two people are like, we want to do this, knock yourself out. I don't know. Someone said I do a few videos every week on different topics. That's cool. I mean, get it in front of the eyes of the right people, you know. I would say that if you want it to grow, but you know, just focus internally as far as like never make excuses. You can get mad and stuff, but it's like if your videos aren't going, you know, there's probably multiple reasons, but you got to always figure out, problem solve, get them out there. I said on Twitter today while we're here, I'm reading some of the comments. I said if Trump said Skid Row was dirty, the liberals would say it's clean. You know, that's like the sad reality. And that's why my buddy, who I was saying, my Puerto Rican buddy who's liberal, he told me he's going to vote for Trump just based off that. He's an intelligent guy. You know, he might be Puerto Rican via race, but he's very, very smart guy. So CNN's talking to him like he's a 5-year-old. You know what I'm saying? It's intellectually offensive. I watched with an open mind because, trust me, I'm not a Fox News guy. They've never had me on. I've always traditionally liked them the least, actually, out of any network. But I watched the debate last time, or the midterm election. I watched Fox News and then flipped to CNN. Fox News was pretty balanced. There were parts that were a little weird, I will say. But for the most part, Fox was talking to me like I'm not a moron, just to be quite honest. They're saying, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. It was pretty fair and balanced. I mean, you could call me whatever you want, but this is my observation. I moved to CNN. It was intellectually offensive how they were reporting it. It was like, this is what's happening there, and that's because he hates people of color, and it's white people, white. Like, Fox News just reported the statistics, and they were just racist. Everything's racist. It's racist. He's winning because of racism. That's why he's winning there. It's just the racism. It's like at a certain point, if you don't hate yourself, it's like staying with a spouse that is like abusive. You know, it's like at a certain point you leave. You got to leave if you respect yourself. And, you know, these people are in an abusive relationship with the mainstream media and politicians. Like, I wasn't attached to Bernie Sanders at the hip. I gave him a chance to break the matrix and break the media matrix. And, you know, he backed out, and I saw his true colors over time. I wasn't attached at the hip to him. Donald Trump, I'm not attached to him. I think he's doing a great job and he's hilarious, but you know, if he does something, I'm not going to run off a cliff with Trump. Like, he's done a lot. I'm not going to turn my back on him for no reason, like Shapiro or something. But you know, I'm not gonna run off a cliff if he decides to just start lying to me every single day and doing terrible stuff and, you know, doing the opposite of good. I don't care that. You know, I didn't care that much about Trump 4 years ago. It's not my life. But some people are in abusive relationships with the media, and if you watch this stuff, not only are they and you could tell, like, the Jake Tappers and the some of the people from CNN, they know that they're in a weird place because they know, and a lot, you know, they know that it's not popular to get rid of people's private insurance. They know it is radical to put the entire, you know, health into the hands of the federal government. They know. The one guy said it's starting to seem like you're just attacking the private sector. That's Bernie's whole ideology. He's not going to come and tell you that, but he wants to completely destroy the private sector, put it all into the hands of the federal government, and either he's evil and he wants to own it all, or control it all, or he's stupid and he thinks that it's going to somehow redistribute back to the people and work out in a utopian society once the government gets all the power. I mean, what's the sock puppet guy's name? Delaney. Delaney knows. He's like, I'm starting to think this is that is what it is, bro. You're totally right. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what they're doing, and it's not popular. I don't understand why they don't understand yet. It's weird, and I have conversations with a lot of people. And the delusion is the weirdest part. And I will say, just to be fair, it does happen on the right too. As far as like Trump, The right wing is winning very big now. This is kind of my analysis on it. The right wing is winning big now with Trump, and he's very, very different from most Republicans. He's no Mitt Romney. He's no John McCain. So a lot of right wingers are on the right side because they're riding with the guy who's just really doing a lot of stuff. Federal Reserve. I mean, Trump is such a legend, it's ridiculous. But the thing is, if you get too comfortable and cocky and ignorant, eventually the right wing's going to be like the left wing now, and you're going to be the wrong side. You'll still be smaller government, hopefully, but it's like the right wing, a lot of people I notice when it comes time to think critically, they can't handle it. And it's like they're right now, because most of the things Trump does, I think, is on point. But you start to see, you notice, I'm like, I could tell the difference between a right winger who in 5-6 years is going to be on the right side and a right winger who in 5 or 6 years is going to be just as ignorant as the left wingers when it doesn't go their way. The left wing I never wanted to admit I thought Fox News was better than other news stations. I never sorry, my throat. I never liked Fox News. I always thought they were the worst. I thought Sean Hannity was the worst person on the planet. But it takes, in my opinion, courage and honesty to be like, you know what? After current reevaluation, I don't know what they were doing in 2005. I still don't like them. But now they're by far the best news network as far as out of the big corporations. I don't agree with everything they say, but they're leagues above the other ones. That's not easy to do for a lot of people. Like I'm not attached to hating Fox News. It's not my identity, although I did at a certain point dislike them strongly. But apparently a lot of people on the left wing can't do that with science. They can't do it with politics. They can't do it with Trump. It's like they're so attached. But that's what people don't like about the right wing. The biggest critique of the right wing tends to be, they're too stubborn. They're too caught in their ways. They won't listen. They're cold. They're immoral. And now the left wing is like 5 times as bad, to the point where liberals are like, I find the left, to me, the left is, the right is more liberal now. They don't care if you're gay. They don't care what race you are as long as you're here legally. They literally, in my opinion, they're not even really that conservative. Like conservative Christians would look at the Republican Party and be like, it's not conservative enough. So it's like they are liberal. It's like, what can't you do on the right wing? The left wing is disguising communism, socialism, and the word they ever used, fascism, in the name of liberalism, which I wasn't alive for Reagan, and I was told that Reagan was the worst president ever. But there's a video of Reagan, and I'm not saying he was perfect. There's a video of him saying if communism or fascism ever comes to the country, it's going to come in the name of liberalism. Why? What is liberalism? Well, it's big government, enterprise. What is right wing? It's libertarianism. It's smaller government. And that's true. You don't have to like Reagan. He knew that 30, 40 years ago, because that is what liberalism was. And it's like a creeping thing. It goes further and further and further. And conservatives kind of sway back and forth a little bit. And the left wing is just trajectory straight off the map. It's nuts. See what we're talking about in the comments. I'll answer a few, then we'll take off. Thank you guys for listening. If you don't do anything, sign up to my free email list. And also, I'm going to do an event in September. I'm going to announce it soon. I think it's at a place with 350 seats. We're hoping to sell it out. And if it does well in LA, we'll take it to Texas. We'll take it to New York City. And I do want to warn people. Not warn, but there's going to be a town hall, so you guys can answer any questions. I'm going to speak a little bit. You can meet me afterwards. We're going to have a whole little thing. But overall, I'm trying to make an event that's not overly political. It's not going to be, no offense, but it's not going to be like the other right-wing organizations. We're not going to scream, build a wall. We're not just going to do right-wing talking points. We're not going to talk about drinking liberal tears. We're not going to talk about snowflakes. We're going to have debates. We're going to have discussions. We're going to have town hall. You can ask anything. It could be political. It could be right-wing. It could be left-wing. But we're going to launch an event sector that is making America debate again, making conversations cool, and also, not the same story over and over and over. There's enough events for that, something that's bigger than that, more along the lines, hopefully, of like a TED Talk mixed with, a political event. So let me just sign up to my free email list, and I'll let you know. We're trying to pack it out, and if we pack it out in LA, we'll take it across the country. I promise you that. So I'm launching my own events. See what you guys are doing. We'll answer a few questions. Any questions or any comments? I'll try to read some good ones. Will Slash be there? Slash, like the guitarist for Guns N' Roses? No, Slash will not be there. Will I go to Portland? Maybe, but I don't know. Is Antifa mad at discussions? Do they get mad at debates that have nothing to do with politics? Someone said they shot Reagan and JFK. That should tell you something. No, I know. I heard that because somebody was trying to. I said something about Reagan one time, and they were like, yo, Reagan got shot. He wasn't trying to do this, and then he got shot. I was like, whoa, didn't know that. Someone said John Ward. Yeah, the John Ward collaboration is coming soon. I already did my verse for him, so I'm just waiting on the music video. If you guys follow John Ward on YouTube, he does like funny raps and like commentary. I don't know. He's funny and talented. Good guy. Judith Parker, good night. Debates are good when people don't get offended by everything. Yeah, this is not for offending. Let's see. Should federal law classify Antifa as a domestic terror organization? I mean, that's for federal law to do. I mean, if they're attacking people all the time, I don't know the laws, but I feel like they've not done anything about that. And I'm all for discussion, and I don't agree with violence or attacking people on either side. So if that's their goal and they're shooting up ICE facilities, then obviously something has to be done. Let's see. A stalker of Jodie Foster shot Reagan to impress her. Is that true? Why are isn't it weird how angry celebrities are? And it was like, John Wilkes Booth was like, he shot, what's his name? Lincoln. Let's see what we got. We'll do like 2 questions and we'll take off. What's your opinion on Ilhan Omar? Oh, she's the best. Now, I'll say this real quick about Ilhan Omar. I was one of the only people defending her a while ago, not because I liked her, I never did, but I believe in free speech, and I thought the right wing was being very, very disingenuous when it came to AIPAC and her calling out like Israeli lobbyists. I thought that was totally disingenuous, but she's not a good person. She's not a good politician. She's pretty awful. And what she did yesterday was disgusting. She does pretty disgusting things weekly, but she retweeted Tom Arnold, which was basically praising the guy who broke Rand Paul's ribs. If you don't know, Rand Paul got tackled by his neighbor, who's a psycho liberal, broke 6 of his ribs, really big deal. And Tom Arnold was praising the guy, and Ilhan Omar retweeted it. So you have a sitting member of Congress who's retweeting somebody praising an act of violence that broke somebody's ribs. It's disgusting. I wish the right wing was a little stronger, because it seems like they never do anything and they just wait for something bad to happen that they can get blamed on. It's like this shooter at California was in a gun-free zone at a gun-free event. He was half Iranian. He, didn't like capitalism, all this stuff. And then they say he was just like Trump. They try to blame it on Trump. It's like the right wing just blames they should be active on that. You should not be allowed to praise the attack on a sitting congressman. You talk about fascism. Fascism is tackling and breaking someone's ribs because you don't agree with them politically, let alone Rand Paul, who by far is one of the greatest Republicans, and he's one of the nicest, most libertarian, pro-free speech, anti-regime change war. Rand Paul's a better liberal than most liberals, and Ilhan Omar retweeting that's disgusting. And her saying concentration camps or camps where people concentrate, she's a very, very low IQ, very bad person. But I'm still honest enough to tell you, I think the right wing was disingenuous about her before. That's not me co-signing Ilhan Omar. That's just me not lying to you. Someone said the Scalise shooter. That's the thing. I mean, Republicans were shot. A Republican was shot and almost killed. Rand Paul was shot at. Then he got tackled. And then the train almost crashed. That was pretty sketchy. But it's like there's attacks on Republicans left and right. There's, of course there's threats to everybody because everybody's insane. But it's like, attacks and violence is not cool. That if Facebook is doing everything, I would say if I ran Facebook or I ran Twitter or I ran Google or I ran the U.S. government, death threats are illegal. I'm not playing around with death threats. I know most people just say it, but if you threaten somebody on Facebook, if you threaten, with merit, or at least not just like, I'm not going to do like codes and dog whistles. That's not the type of person I am. If there's a clear threat, to me, that's against the law. I would act on that. In Canada, they show up to your house. If you say, I'm going to steal a whale from SeaWorld, if you make a joke, they show up, are you going to steal a whale? It's like they care more about hate speech. Death threats should be illegal. Violence. If somebody threatens Ilhan Omar, they should get a visit from the FBI or the police. If somebody threatens the president, if somebody threatens Rand Paul, anybody, right wing, left wing, that's unacceptable. And unfortunately, a lot of public figures get threatened quite often. And the social media companies do nothing about it. They only care if you say transgender shouldn't play basketball. Like the movie Joanna Man, that's literally the whole plot. I don't know if you guys saw that, Joanna Man. It was a story about a man who was turned to a woman and then played basketball and was the best basketball player. Hilarious video or movie, but now it's actually happening. Yeah, that's what I would do. Let me see what you're talking about. Someone said, come to Texas, you're welcome. Yeah, for sure. The 3 places I thought off the top, if LA goes well, I'm going Texas, New York City, and then, I don't know, Florida, maybe. That's just what I'm thinking. Someone says something about the rise of autism. He said, I'll read that comment because I want to talk on that real quick. I don't know, but until they find out the reason for the rise in autism, I'm not ruling anything out. I'm guessing you're talking about vaccines, and here's what I'm saying. I'm not going to say, vaccines cause autism. I don't know that. I'm not a scientist, but here's what I will say. When I went to the urgent care, I had to unfortunately take a vaccine. A couple years ago, I would have got a tetanus shot because I stepped on something rusty. But now they don't have a tetanus shot. They have a tetanus vaccine. It's 3 medicines in one instead of just getting one. I said, why is that? They said, it's for younger kids. And I said, oh, okay, well, it's for money, right? And they got really mad at me. They said, no, it's not for money. It's just because the kids need it and we give them all at once. But I'm explaining, I'm like, well, I don't need 3 at once. So why would you be pumping me with 3 at once if I only need 1? Why don't you carry them individually? Well, it's because it's probably more money for the pharmacy industry. It's easier to do, and it's like if I had a food thing and you're like, can I buy 1 burrito? No, you can only buy 3 at once. If you want 1, you got to take all 3. It's a 3-in-1 scam, basically. I mean, I'm sure one of them you need, but one of the things I got was for whooping cough. I don't need a vaccine for whooping cough. So they don't want to talk about they're pumping kids with more vaccines. It's just true, just like me. I didn't need 3. They do it because it's more money, So how many, when we were younger, we got the polio vaccine, maybe a tetanus shot, maybe they'd spread them out. Now they pump them with like 3-in-1 vaccines. Who knows? They're bang, 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 bang. 10, 20 vaccines. I don't know how many they're doing. And it's more and more and more and more and more. It's not healthy. I'm sure it's not good for a newborn baby, but they won't admit that, or they won't say that, or they'll call you a conspiracy theorist. I'm sure it causes problems. Just like I've talked to people who I know distribute products that do cause problems. And if I said they cause problems, they'd be called a conspiracy theorist. But the people who make the products know that they cause problems. It's like we could sit here and pretend like that so we don't get kicked off Facebook and YouTube. Like I said, I'm not going to say that they don't work. I'm not going to say that they cause problems, but it's just like anything in life. It's like if you eat 1, if you eat 3 or take 1, take 3, they're overdoing it and they're not allowing you to have a conversation about it, which is very dangerous. In my opinion, you should be able to debate it, but the science is settled, the medicine's settled, and it's just not true. I mean, a lot of people have holistic, of course you want to, I talked to a Uber, a Lyft driver the other day. He had a great thing he said to me. He said, when I got my surgery, I go to the Western medicine, a U.S. doctor, because they close the wound. The U.S. is great at doing stuff. You got a problem, the U.S. doctor will keep you alive. You know what I'm saying? They'll get it closed up. They'll get your cut sealed. But when it comes to rehabilitation and healing, at that point, they're not always the best. Like they'll give you a bunch of medication over the counter. That's fine. I'm not going to say don't do it. Obviously, if they say do it. But I'm saying there's better way. Like some people swear by acupuncture, or there's holistic foods and medicines to rehabilitate you faster and get the results that you're looking for. So it's like U.S. medicine is a blessing in many ways, but in many ways it's like cut and dry. It's like we do this and that's that, but it's not the full spectrum. And that's it's okay to say that, but apparently they think that they're everything. And the scary part about the left wing that I must say is mostly the right wing are now, which is weird because the left wing are the holistic people on paper, but the left wing, a lot of their policies, they want to turn the government into the health industry. You don't want the government telling what you can and can't do. In situations like California, they want to mandate what you put in your kid. They want the government to tell you, you have to put this 5-in-1 vaccine in your kid. You have to do this. You have to take this medicine. You don't want the government to force you to do this type of stuff, guys. It's awful, and it happens in liberal because they don't understand. Oh, we want the free healthcare. Oh, yeah, it's going to be great. You're giving the entire health industry to the federal government. I've had doctors out here in California complain to me that they're just basically slaves to the attorney general. They're like, I can't even tell you what I really want you to do, because if I told you, I'd lose my job. I'm just another employee to the government. That's how it is in California right now. And they're trying to take more and more and more and more. And you can pat yourself on the back and call yourself progressive and act like you're saving the world from bad health if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. But if you don't understand what's really going on in liberal and progressive cities, if you don't really understand how the policy works and how much power it gives the government, that's why I like Marianne Williamson, although she's 95% like psychotic witchcraft. She understands she's the only person, I've complimented her, I'll probably show the video tomorrow. She's the only politician who's ever said healthcare is not really healthcare, it's sick care or insurance care. It doesn't prevent the problem. You know, in the United States, certain styles of diabetes and health, not all health things that come in America, a lot of the stuff is because of the food they give us, because of the medicine they give us. They're making you sick, and then they tell you they have the cure a lot of times. And Marianne Williamson, as kooky as she may seem, that's the one thing she actually understands. She's like, we're not talking about the reasons that people are getting sick, which is absolutely true. The same person healing you is the same person who will get you sick. Someone said some vaccines are essential. No, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm letting you know. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not here telling you that they don't work. I'm just saying the conversation they don't want to have is, how many are you pumping into your kids at once, and is that a healthy dose? Do we need that one? Like, I'll give you an example. I'm not anti-Western medicine. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm not anti-pharmacy. But does 10 million kids in the United States have ADD? Probably not. For the most part, I think ADD is largely a made-up, disease, really. They tried to tell me I had it when I was a kid. And if you notice now, I'm a very hard worker. I'm very, very hard worker when I want to do something. In school, I was bored because I didn't like the indoctrination, structure to it. So I didn't do well. I didn't pay attention. I was a bad kid. I was funny. I was a troublemaker. I didn't have an illness. I just don't care. I'm fun. I'm hilarious. Like that was the problem. I'm sorry. I'm hilarious. Give me a suspension. Make it worth it. Make everybody laugh. But the point being, it's like now they overdiagnose everything. And if they overdiagnose you with medicine, if they overdiagnose you with disease, why wouldn't that relate to the other part of the pharmacy industry? But you can't say that, because then you're an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not an anti-Western mediciner. I'm just saying that they're ridiculously overdiagnosing and overprescribing things, and there is financial incentive there to do it. And all of these, this is one thing that Bernie Sanders, his campaign manager, did a good job on CNN. I don't agree with him on a lot, but Bernie Sanders' campaign manager called out Brian Stelter and said, you don't want to talk about the pharmacy stuff because your biggest sponsors are pharmaceutical companies. And he's like, oh, what? I don't know about that. Oh, I don't know who. I don't know who does it, because I don't even watch the commercials. I'm on set. I don't watch It's like, dude, shut up, bro. You don't know that CNN has pharmacy sponsors? I know, and I don't even watch CNN. CNN has pharmacy sponsors. That was the main sponsor today on the website. Fox News has pharmacy sponsors. CBS. Everybody has pharmacy sponsors because that's where most of the money is, and that's most of the commercial. You can't watch Comedy Central anymore without Sarah McLachlan crying, save a kid or save a dog. And then there's 15, are you depressed? Are you depressed? Are you this? Are you that? Does your side hurt? Does your stomach hurt? Take this pill, take this pill, take this pill. The television is overrun with pharmacy ads. So yeah, of course they're not going to tell you on CNN, or they're not, because that's who pays them. And that's who pays most politicians too, until like 2 years ago. And then Tulsi Gabbard and Cory Booker were like, you know what? I'm going to stop taking money from the pharmacy industry now because I'm Tulsi Gabbard and Cory Booker. And now it's not cool to do, so I'm not going to do it. They did it 3 years ago. And I'm not knocking Tulsi. I actually kind of like her. But Cory Booker, nah, not really. But you get what I'm saying? They're only doing it because people noticed. And now they're like, oh, shoot. So that's my thought on the medicine part and the vaccine. It's not that it's bad. It's just I know for a fact they're overprescribing. Certain intelligent people are a little crazy sometimes. certain creative people are not meant to do. There's type A and there's type B. Creative people aren't meant to sit in school for 10 hours. Probably no one's meant to sit that long, at a desk like that. But, they'd rather just say you have ADD, give you a pill, which is equivalent. I've taken ADD medicine in college. It's crazier than cocaine in my personal perspective. I have a fast metabolism. So anything I take, any sort of drug or something, I don't need a lot. It hits me very hard. Even like alcohol. I'm not super lightweight, but you get what I'm saying? So when I take ADD medication in college, it felt like a cocaine that lasted 8 hours. Like it was like the craziest. I was like, I was blown away. They give this to kids. It's insane. You start sweating. You're like jacked up and you love everything for like 12 hours. And then at the end you feel worn down like a zombie and you're like depressed. Like it's a psycho drug that they're giving to a bunch of children and over prescribing. And then they say you can't question other medicine. They're total liars. And I think we know that by now. That's why free speech is so important. Free speech is not free speech, but you're not allowed to talk about vaccines or the moon. It's not what free speech is. That's what people who don't want you to talk about the moon and vaccines will tell you. Oh my God, it's crazy. What's crazy is we haven't gone back to the moon in 50 years. Technology is way better. And you say you destroyed the technology and it's a painful process to build back again. The fact that the more I research, the more I realize that every single thing that we fly to is within Earth's atmosphere. It's not out of Earth's atmosphere. And the moon, the calculations of how fast rockets go and how quick it takes them to get to the International Space Station, nothing adds up. I'm going to do a whole video on that. They say that it takes them 20 minutes to get to there and that they're going 17,000 miles an hour. I'll do a whole video on it. It makes no sense. At that rate, it would take under a minute to get there. And there's no way to go from 0 to 17,000 miles an hour that quickly, but they're on Business Insider. They're like, trust me, it's really hard to land at the International Space Station because we're going 17,000 miles an hour. It makes zero mathematical sense. It's legitimately impossible. But and this is not me or a conspiracy. This is Business Insider bragging. It's like when Vox says, we've never done weather manipulation ever. Meanwhile, their whole objective is to manipulate the weather via man-made differences and machines. Meanwhile, it's also in their own publication that China's manipulated the weather since 2008, and it's in law books since the 60s and 70s. It's like that's what I do. I don't even really do conspiracies. I do facts. It's like, I'm sorry that they lied about this. I know it's going to be a tough one, but the facts aren't adding up. Where'd you get that, Alex Jones? Where'd you get that on YouTube? No. That's in Business Insider. That's on CNN. Sorry, guys. That's in the Washington Post. Sorry. Where'd you get that stat? Oh, you don't think we haven't discovered all of Antarctica? Trust me, we know everything about it. Actually, I read that in NASA. Oh, what year? A long time ago? No, 2018 December. So within 7-8 months. It's all out there. It's just nobody looks at it. I do. Luckily, thanks to you guys, I get to do it full time. So I have way too much time on my hands to check this stuff out. But I'm actually incentivized because I did this for like a couple of years before anything was working out, just because I was ridiculously passionate about it. But now I'm able to do it. So you don't have to freak out and lose your mind. I'll do it for you. No, I don't really lose my mind. I have a good time. It's in the scheme of things, I stay very grateful because even with my foot, I'm starting to walk again. I was very nervous for a while, but it's like even, you just got to roll with the punches. It could always be better. It could always be worse. There's injuries and problems that would make me very grateful to only have done that, and vice versa. There's some people who are like, I'm sorry that happened, but that's life. Someone said we're not even sure where water comes. Guys, I'm gonna do a whole moon episode again, and I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theory. I'm not telling you where we did. I'm gonna just read mainstream articles and NASA articles, and I'm gonna give you the math that they give me, tell you where these things actually lie, and you could tell me if you think it makes sense or not. Because there's one thing for sure, nothing adds up. I mean, I don't want to get too much into it now and ruin it, but you watch the first interview that Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, and the other guy that no one cares about. Watch the interview they did right when they came back from the moon. They look legitimately frightened out of their mind. I mean, it's like winning the Super Bowl for humanity. You'd be the happiest person alive. We just went outside the planet to the moon and back. I would think you'd be pretty pumped up, or at least just be like legitimately weird, like Elon Musk. These people look frightened at looking left and right, like, man, don't screw this up. They did not even remotely look excited or look very, very frightened, very nervous to speak to the press. Interesting. Someone said, "Why?" That I love that, Eric. He said, "Why space? Let's finish exploring our ocean." I'm not saying this is true because I know I got a lot of people that think this is too crazy to even talk about. I'm just going to give you a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is true. Imagine that the moon and all this space stuff. Imagine that it's a total lie. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying use your imagination. Imagine it's a total lie and we're on a planet. This second part is definitely true. Imagine you're on a planet where most of the planet you haven't explored. They act like there's nothing down in the ocean. Guys, we haven't explored 95%, 90%, 85%, whatever they want to lie about and say. That's most of Earth we haven't explored. Imagine if they got you looking up and everything they're doing is right below you. Imagine that. I think about that more and more. I mean, there's nothing on Antarctica. It's just ice. There's nothing in the ocean. It's just water. So most of Antarctica is unexplored. You can't go there unless you're with like a government organization or a group that's allowed to go. You're only allowed to go to certain parts. You can't go deep down in the ocean. It's not even possible. But there's nothing down there. Trust me. Half of the Earth is unexplored, but nothing's down there. Even though every day it's like we get new random like butterflies and stuff pop out of the Amazon rainforest, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Just big fish and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Keep looking up there. We're gonna go back. Trust me, guys. We haven't been since 1969. We're going. Be an astronaut. Trust me, guys. We're going. We haven't gone. The technology, we lost it. You know, we can't find it. We deleted it. We gave it to a guy. We sold it. We can't build it back again. Even though back then computers weren't even 1/8 as powerful as a cell phone. But we keep going. Look, we got Elon Musk. We got this guy. We got Buzz Aldrin doing his rounds. Trump's building the Space Force. Keep looking up, guys. Please don't look down. Do not look down. Do not look on your own planet. Trust me, we've explored it all. We're going to space. We're going to explore the whole universe, which may or may not exist. Trust me, guys. It's an interesting phenomenon that they've convinced people to do. And I'm not going to tell you what to and not believe. I'm just going to say I'm doing a whole moon live stream. And I'm just reading stats, and you could tell me if they add up. Someone said, some of the ocean is so deep. Some of the ocean is so deep. Hold on, I want to read that one. Some of the ocean is so deep, it's too dark to even see with lights. Absolutely. So here's a theory that I've always had, and it's not quite a conspiracy theory unless you consider water objects conspiracy, but if we imagine like an ant, okay, and I'm not getting into like the atheist universe thing here, so you don't got to freak out at me. But imagine an ant. An ant thinks it's the king of its anthill. You get what I'm saying? But little does the ant know that it could be stepped on in any second. This is what a lot of scientific people say. This is what a lot of space people say. They say, you know, we're just in the universe. Anything could kill us at any time. I'm gonna go differently and say, what if what's really running the planet, you know, what's really the head honcho on the planet, is so deep in the ocean that we don't even know it's there, and we're not even advanced enough or strong enough to get to where it is. An ant can't do what I do. I can't even go 5% into the ocean or I'll die. Meanwhile, there's 95% that I'll never see, and I'm supposed to think, and our lights don't work. Maybe what runs the planet is in the ocean. I was gonna say something, but never mind. Tim True said, New York firefighters call for the new impartial investigation into 9/11. Overwhelming evidence demonstrates that pre-planted explosives and/or incendiaries caused the destruction of the 3 World Trade Center buildings. Tim, where'd you read that? That would be quite fun to have a new investigation into that. I would appreciate that pretty big. That was one of the things that I saw the documentary Loose Change when I was younger, and that definitely got my mind flowing about that event. I mean, one thing is for certain, a lot of things didn't add up, and if you're not into conspiracy theories, I would say something that we could probably both agree on is even after that happened, then hey, it's the Taliban, so we're going to go kill Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein had little to nothing to do with the Taliban. Now we're going to go to Libya. Libya had nothing to do with Al-Qaeda. Libya had nothing to do with the Taliban. Now we're going to go to Syria. Syria, and this is what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people, a lot of Christians, a lot of conservatives, they look at the Middle East and they just see Muslim. You know what I'm saying? They just see Muslim, you know, Middle Eastern, blah, blah, blah. Like they just group it all together. Syria is one of the most secular countries in the Middle East. Syria is one of the most pro-Christian countries in the Middle East. Syria is so pro-Christian, they're allowed to have huge Christian, you know, worship centers. They celebrate Christmas more than almost any other Middle Eastern country. Syria is not that Muslim. I mean, there obviously are Muslim, but Syria is one of the most secular places and most religiously tolerant places. Al-Qaeda and Taliban and al-Nusra, they didn't have a strong presence until the United States got there. And then all of a sudden, they're everywhere. You know, they weren't beforehand. So these are things to think about. Even if you think 9/11 was totally normal and it was just the Taliban, the United States used as an excuse to kill Saddam Hussein, kill Gaddafi, invade Syria, and all it did was make ISIS, Al-Qaeda. Who is ISIS? Before it's the Taliban, then it's Al-Qaeda. Oh no, it's ISIS now. Okay, and then the other ones just disappear. They rebrand. It's like rebranding. Okay, people don't care about that. Well, we'll go with this one. Oh, Trump killed ISIS. Trump got rid of ISIS. Okay, we're gonna call it IS now. You notice they did that? It's all branding, guys. If I told you something and I didn't want to tell you that it got solved because I was using it to scare you, I just changed the name of it. That's what they did. As soon as ISIS, the scary ISIS, was defeated, now it's IS. When they want an ISIS woman to come to your country, they say, she's with IS. It just is. It's like the word is. Now it's ISIS, who's actually a goddess as well. They're demonizing that, they're demonizing that name, which is a powerful name, as they do a lot in history. Even apparently the Nazi symbol was once a very positive symbol. It's found in Buddhism. It's found in a lot of ancient cultures. And once that was used by Hitler, it's now demonized, even though it's like if somebody used the cross for bad, would we not be allowed to use the cross anymore? On that note, not to be too crazy, but where was the big New Zealand shooting, guys? Do you guys remember where the New Zealand shooting was? It's an interesting town or city because that town or city has two of the strongest Christian words in existence. Christchurch, New Zealand. Christchurch. So before the shooting, Christchurch means Christ, Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior to Christians, and church, the holy place where people worship. Now it means white people are bad. Now it means let's take your guns away. Now it means Donald Trump did this, the white people did this, the gun owners did this, the NRA did this. So they took the two most holy words in the Christian religion and turned it into a bad symbol. Something to think about. And I don't personally believe throughout history the people who take an Egyptian goddess's name, Isis, and then brand something as ISIS. Now ISIS means bad. Let's Google it real quick because I'm actually curious as to I don't know off the top. ISIS goddess. Let's see what the ISIS goddess is. ISIS is an ancient. Oh, hold on a second. Isis is an ancient Egyptian goddess associated with the earliest goddess Hathor, which became the most popular who became the most popular and enduring of all the Egyptian deities. Her name comes from the Egyptian, which referred to her stability and also the throne of Egypt, as was considered the mother of every pharaoh through the king's association with Horus, Isis's son. I want to get a. So from what I'm reading, Isis was the most popular goddess at one time, who was the goddess of stability. Interesting. Now ISIS is destabilizing Syria, the most Christian country probably in the Middle East, or at least one of them. Isn't that weird? The goddess of stability, the most popular one, is now the most unpopular terrorist organization of instability. Wow, I bet that's a coincidence. I bet it's just totally coincidental that Christchurch is now branded as horrible. I can't fathom, but let's see who's more. We'll read more about Isis, the Egyptian goddess, major goddess who's worship spread throughout the Greco-Roman world. I'm sure the people who politicized the Christchurch shooting, I'm sure they love Greco-Romans. They love Roman Catholics. They love Christians. They love Europeans. Isis was first mentioned in the Old Kingdom when main character of the Osiris myth, in which she resurrects her slain husband, the divine Osiris, and produces and protects the air Horus. She was believed to help the dead enter the afterlife, as she also helped Osiris, and was considered the divine mother of the pharaoh, who was likened to Horus. Her maternal aid was invoked in healing spells to benefit ordinary people. Guess who didn't get benefited when ISIS came in to the Middle East? Pretty much ordinary people everywhere, from here to Syria. Originally, she played a limited role in royal rituals and temple rites, although she was more prominent in funeral practices and magical texts. She was usually portrayed in art as a woman wearing a throne, like hieroglyph on her head. In first millennial, she was absorbed, blah, 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 blah. Interesting. Point I'm saying is a lot of a lot of the most powerful and meaningful, and also, in my opinion, spiritual symbols have been perverted to, or inverted rather, to be the exact opposite. I just don't think that's a coincidence, but maybe it is. It's kind of like the apple, you know, on the Apple computers. In the Bible, you have the bitten apple, which is kind of one of the main symbols of sin, and you know, you have the bitten apple as the you know, symbol of one of the most powerful tech companies. All right. I think we'll take off. That's enough for today. I'll come later this week. We'll get some more stuff. Maybe I'll talk about the debate tomorrow after the debate. Is it tomorrow? We'll figure it out. Someone said like the Betsy Ross flag is demonized now. Absolutely, of course. I mean, you gotta. I want to say this before I leave too. I'm not overly conspiratorial, and I don't say things I can't prove. But understand that I think certain things are very powerful. I mean, actions matter more than words. But you know, prayers and certain, you know, some religions or some people would call spells, or you know, affirmations. There's a lot of names for things that mean the exact same thing. Some people think it's, you know, this or that, but spells, affirmations, prayers, you know, manifestation, stuff like that. There's certain things that are very, very powerful. There's certain symbolisms that are very powerful. I know certain people that aren't so religious, but they say, you know, the name Jesus Christ sometimes, and they, you know, they say like bad things go away. You get what I'm saying. There's certain things that have a lot of power, and symbolism is everywhere. It's in the dollar. It's all over the place. You know, the elites absolutely use symbolism one way or another. They love it. So if you can take a beautiful symbol, a great symbol, and a powerful symbol, an empowering symbol that tells a story of, you know, history and empowerment, and you could pervert that to mean the exact opposite, that's power. It's like Malcolm X said, and many others, the media has the power to make the guilty look innocent and the innocent look guilty. That's power. If you can make a criminal look like a hero look like a criminal, you know, I mean, that's one of the biggest inverted powers as possible. You can convince the entire world that something amazing and powerful and great and beautiful and perfect is disgusting and ugly and not to be talked about, not to be mentioned, not, you know, synonymous with the worst people on the planet. That's a real power. And the amount of times that that's been done, at least in the last 100 years, when it comes to words, goddesses, gods, symbols, names, you know, religions, it's very, very interesting to say the least. I can't say who's doing it, what's going on, or, you know, that's not really for me to share or to speculate on, but it is extremely interesting. I will say that. Thank you guys for being here. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America, and God bless the world. If you don't do anything, sign up to my free email list. Thank you guys for supporting. There's 3 ways I'll tell you before I leave. One way, sign up to my free email list, 100% free. I don't spam. I only send out like 1 email every few months. I'm the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I promise that. 2, I have Patreon, donor box, PayPal, Bitcoin, Litcoin, Ethereum, all that stuff's in the description or somewhere you can find it. And the third way that you can support is watch my videos on Facebook and share them if you like the video, like the World Cloud videos and the Anomaly videos. That's the only place I get ad revenue now, because YouTube, my last 11 videos have been demonetized. I don't even care, because I wasn't making the bulk of my money on YouTube only 1 month, I would say. I had a good month 1 month, but they've been crushing me in the algorithms. Now they demonetize. Literally, super chats, I get the money. Thank you guys. And Google takes 30%, but 11 videos demonetized in a row. That's a new record. They demonetize them before I even upload them. No curses, no bad content or anything. YouTube has gone fully insane. So Facebook, believe it or not, I know a lot of people don't like Facebook. Facebook has been the best to me. They actually have a better ad conversion rate than YouTube does. And I have 2 pages that I'm allowed to monetize, and they accept way more than YouTube, believe it or not. So my Facebook people, I appreciate you. Even if you don't support anyway, sign up to my free email list, 1. And just keep watching videos. That you don't have to, because sometimes people hit me up like, oh, I can't do that or something. I was like, don't make me feel bad about it. It's a suggestion, but also if you watch videos or you comment or you like, or you do neither, you just, you know, pay attention sometimes, that's more than enough. And as long as that doesn't fall through, I'm doing fine. And I'm doing live events too. I'm trying to get stuff in place just in case they try to pull the rug out under me, which they'll probably try to do at some point. I have something, so I'll be able to be stable. But either way, we're in the middle of peak time, so it's a risk I'm willing to take. We'll get it. We'll try to get everything layered up. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Someone said can't find stuff on YouTube anymore. Oh yeah, the way they rig the YouTube search algorithms is literally insane. It's hard for me to even explain it. Things that used to be first and second for me are now 30th, 40th, 50th, 60th. You can't even find like videos. If you talk about the moon, if you talk about climate, if you talk about politics, pretty much anything that you search, they've rigged the top 30 searches to be like crappy Business Insider or Fox or CNN or MSNBC. They're driving a lot of traffic to Fox, to be honest, which is annoying because there's a lot of conservatives who have built up a lot, and it's like Fox has enough money and resources, but the mainstream media gets all the traffic. I would say they've rigged it from like open source forum free market to like 95% of search traffic to CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and like BBC. It's disgusting what they're doing, but God have mercy on their disgusting souls. I'm not even mad at them. They could take my YouTube money. It's like they have to live with themselves and live as total losers and liars. It's like, imagine stealing all my money, rigging all the algorithms, cheating me out, and I'm still doing better than you, and people still like me more, and my president's still going to win, and you're still losing Europe and you're losing Canada. That's a new level of pathetic. I mean, it's like I don't have Google. I'm sitting on my couch. They have every resource, staff of 200 people, and they still can't compete with me. They're sad little pathetic losers. So I'd rather you guys, instead of being mad, just say a prayer for them because they need it. And say a prayer for me. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow probably.